They observed us like insects. Fleet Admiral Cale Thorne of the Graxan Ascendancy stood before the Galactic Council, his violet scales gleaming beneath the ambient starlight filtering through the crystalline chamber's dome. Dozens of species sat in silent deference as he tapped a claw against the holopad. A projection of Earth, blue, green, turbulent, rotated slowly above them. A death world, Cale Thorne declared with mild amusement. Category 7. Hostile biosphere, erratic weather, violent sentience. Primitive fusion reactors, rudimentary orbital capabilities. Yet prolific in conflict. Endlessly so. He zoomed the projection on scenes of war. Mushroom clouds blooming across a desert. Mechanized tanks plowing through rubble, carrier strike groups at sea. The other delegates murmured, some with pity, others with disgust. Fascinating creatures, the Admiral continued. They call themselves humans. Evolution forged them in constant struggle. Disease, famine, predators, even their own kind. Everything shaped them into apex survivors. But like beasts in a cage, they clawed each other more than anything else. Counselor Attack of the Vorin Clade flicked a frilled antenna. Are they a threat? Cale Thorne scoffed. They're clever, yes. Inventive, but disunited. Emotional, predictably volatile. We'll deploy a response armada. Their orbital defenses, if any, will collapse in hours. They'll be on their knees by sundown. The Council approved the operation unanimously. In a darkened chamber beneath Geneva's Earth Defense Headquarters, General Elena Rourke reviewed the approaching fleet with tired eyes. A string of red blips marched from Neptune's orbit toward Earth. They're not here to talk, her aide muttered grimly. No, she replied. But we tried. God help them, we tried. Humanity had detected the fleet days ago. Surveillance nets caught their FTL distortion the moment they breached Sol's Edge. Attempts to hail them were ignored. So Earth sent a simple message, broadcast in 1,000 languages across all frequencies. We are human. We do not seek war. But if you fire first, we will show you what war truly is. No answer came. Aboard the Imperial Dreadnought Vigilant Purpose, Cale Thorne watched Earth grow larger in the viewport. His comms officer sneered. Another human transmission, Admiral. Likely another plea. No, Cale Thorne said, a smile curling across his snout. They think it's a threat. He gave the order. Target the Red Planet's base. Let them understand their place. On Mars, engineers at Vies Base never saw it coming. A single particle lance sliced through kilometers of soil and alloy. In seconds, humanity's proudest off-world achievement was dust. Back on Earth, silence followed. And then, grimly, General Rourke stood. Activate Project Nemesis. Prepare Operation Iron Sky. Her voice was steel. They fire the first shot. Now we answer. Across Earth's skies, dormant defense platforms came alive. And in orbit, invisible in the black, human ships waited, hungry. The Empire thought they were gods. They would learn otherwise. The first shot, in orbit above Earth, the Imperial fleet moved with absolute confidence. 30 capital ships, dozens of escorts, and swarms of automated scouts, each one bristling with weapons honed across 1,000 planetary conquests. Cale Thorne stood tall on the command deck of the Vigilant Purpose, arms folded behind his back. Target resistance has not responded, the comms officer reported. They've gone silent, Cale Thorne said with smug satisfaction. As expected, they understand now. But Earth was not silent. Below the clouds, behind the planet's moon, hidden beneath ocean trenches and within the crust itself, Project Nemesis had awakened. General Elena Rourke's voice crackled through hardened channels. Confirm fleet positions. Priority, stealth intercept. Authorize Nemesis protocols Theta 1 through Theta 4. Engage on my mark. 2 seconds later, Imperial sensors went dark. A virus, subtle, ancient, and terrifyingly precise, had piggybacked on the Empire's own scan pulses. Developed by human cyber warfare AIs, it tunneled into Imperial battle nets and shut down their data integration. Cale Thorne's console flickered. System anomaly, his engineers reported. Sensor interference. Possible jamming. Correct it, Cale Thorne ordered, frowning. Now! Then a new signal appeared, just for a moment. A human stealth ship decloaked above the Imperial cruiser Righteous Path and fired. The cruiser didn't explode. It disintegrated. A directed energy weapon, tight beam dark matter compression, pierced its shielding and carved through the vessel like paper. There were no survivors. Across Earth's orbit, hidden railgun platforms emerged from camouflage. Hypersonic tungsten rods slammed into Imperial frigates, shattering hulls, bypassing shields. EMP clouds followed, frying internal systems with terrifying efficiency. Cale Thorne watched the battlefield collapse in real time. This isn't primitive warfare, he growled. Another dreadnought burst into flame, breached from within. Human operatives had boarded mid-jump using microgravity harnesses and plasma cutters, slipping into airlocks as if rehearsed. It was rehearsed. Humanity had planned this moment for years. From Luna Command, General Rourke monitored the spread. "They're scattering," her aide reported. "Try to regroup in Jupiter orbit." "They won't make it," she said. "Deploy the Valkyrie wings." Full pursuit. Dozens of autonomous drones launched from Earth's exoatmospheric hangars, black, silent, and fast. Unlike Imperial fighters, they didn't need pilots or direction. They hunted like predators, targeting weak points in the enemy formation. By the end of the day, 15 Imperial ships were destroyed. 6 more had surrendered. The rest were running. Back on the Vigilant Purpose, Cale Thorne's claws trembled on the railing. "How did they do this?" he muttered. His science officer, pale and shaking, whispered they were never primitive. They were waiting. Cale Thorne finally understood. The message Earth had sent wasn't a plea. It was a warning, and he had ignored it. "We warned them." Jupiter loomed below, a swirling colossus of storms, as the shattered remnants of the Imperial fleet drifted in its orbit. Cale Thorne paced the command deck of the Vigilant Purpose, jaw clenched, tail twitching in restrained panic. Half his fleet was gone. The rest had lost communications, sensor integrity, and shield harmonics. His empire had never known such a defeat, not in centuries. "They're monsters," whispered Lieutenant Relk, staring at a tactical screen. "They don't fight like any species we've encountered." "They fight to win," Cale Thorne spat. "Not for honor, not for glory, just survival. Brutal, efficient." He looked to the stars beyond Jupiter. "And they're not done." Back on Earth, General Elena Rourke's face was calm, carved from the same steel as her orders. "Operation Iron Sky is green," she said. "Commence orbital deployment." The next phase was not about defense. It was about demonstration. A Lagrange point generator, camouflaged as a communications relay, powered up. It unleashed a controlled gravitational anomaly, collapsing a singularity directly beneath the trailing Imperial battleship Iron Glory. For a brief moment, space folded, and the battleship vanished into a pinprick of darkness, crushed into silence. Across the fleet, Imperial officers panicked. "They're using black hole weapons?" A Graxan commander shrieked. Worse still, human strike pods emerged from the shadows, boarding the remaining Imperial vessels with precision. Cybernetic Marines, enhanced, silent, cut through bulkheads and command decks, disabling ships from within. Cale Thorne knew it was over, but desperation forced his hand. "Begin planetary bombardment," he ordered. "Level their cities. Show them who commands the stars." Missiles and plasma lances launched from his remaining ships. But Earth's defense net, powered by orbital particle deflectors, kinetic interceptors, and adaptive shielding arrays, held. The Empire's weapons were designed for brute force. Humanity had built for survivability. From orbit, the Vigilant Purpose watched its missiles die mid-flight. Then the counterstrike came. A volley of hypersonic rods from Earth's upper orbit platforms slammed into the Vigilant Purpose's hull. The flagship reeled. Fires erupted. Systems failed. Cale Thorne was thrown across the deck. Alarms wailed. A screen flickered to life, hacked. On it, General Rourke stared coldly at him. "You were warned," she said. This is madness." Cale Thorne coughed, blood leaking from his snout. "You're savages, barbarians." Rourke didn't blink. "No, we're human. You came to conquer us. You assumed we were like the others. She leaned closer to the camera. But you weren't the first to try. You just won't live to be the last. The feed cut. By nightfall, only 3 Imperial ships limped away under emergency warp. The rest were wreckage. Across the galaxy, the battle's recordings spread, pirated, spliced, translated into 100 languages. Billions watched as humanity stood unbroken. Oppressed species gasped. Resistance leaders stirred. And from the ashes of the Empire's pride, a message repeated over every channel. We warned them. Let that be a lesson. The wreckage of the Imperial fleet drifted across the Sol system like metallic tombstones. Burnt-out dreadnoughts, ruptured cruisers, and still glowing debris littered the orbital paths of Jupiter and Saturn. Scavenger drones, human-made, silently collected fragments. Not for celebration, for study. In Geneva, General Elena Rourke stood before a global assembly. World leaders, scientists, soldiers, all connected via secure uplinks, watched her with solemn eyes. "We lost good people," she began. "Mars is gone. We mourn. But today, Earth stands." A murmur passed through the audience. "We didn't choose this war. We gave them every chance to turn back. We warned them, and still they came." She tapped a screen. Footage played. The Imperial fleet's arrival, the destruction of Mars base, the blinding flashes of orbital retaliation. And now, the galaxy is watching. Across the stars, they were watching. From the slave colonies of the Zarnak Nebula to the underground resistance cells of the Crying Cluster, the footage had spread, translated by smugglers, shared in secret networks, viewed in whispers. Billions saw alien warships fall to human fire. For the first time in centuries, the myth of the invincible Galactic Empire had cracked. For the first time, someone had fought back and won. In the council hall of the Empire's core world, chaos reigned. Ministers screamed over one another. Fleets were being recalled. Border worlds reported insurrections. "They destroyed a response armada," one elder barked. "They annihilated our dreadnoughts with less than 1/10 of our power." "They used black holes," another whispered, terrified. "They opened singularities like we opened doors." Panic gripped the chamber. And yet, no one dared speak of retaliation. Because humanity hadn't claimed territory. They hadn't demanded tribute. They had simply responded and then stopped. Back on Earth, Elena Rourke met with a different council. Scientists, strategists, diplomats. "We've confirmed transmission reach across over 300 systems," said Dr. Sue, head of extraterrestrial communications. "Resistance cells are pinging us, some asking for asylum. Others, asking for help." Rourke nodded slowly. "And the Ares program?" Admiral Tagore spoke next. "Underway. We'll have our first true interstellar fleet ready within 6 months. Faster if we reallocate resources." Rourke looked at the star map on the wall. "So many dots. So many lives. We never wanted a place in the stars through war," she said. "But now we've got their attention. So we'll show them something better." Then her tone hardened. "But if they come again, we'll remind them." A final message was broadcast across the galaxy. "Calm, firm, human. We are Earth. We seek peace, but we are not weak. To those who would conquer us, remember Mars. Remember your fleet. Let this be a lesson, not a warning. We are here now, and we remember everything." End of chapter 4. End of story.